Welcome to Flatfoots and Fools, a podcast about detective games. I'm Andrew, and as usual, I'm joined by John. How are you doing today?
Glad to get back into this.
And today, we are here for the case of the Red Pearls of Borneo. Specifically, the 2026 Steam release of it. So, a little bit of background before we dive in. This game was originally developed on itch.io. I was one of the earlier testers there, so I've sort of played through it 2 times. Multiple parts of it were added over time, which we'll get into as we go, and then eventually Bushmonkey, the developer, put it on Steam. This is the second game from Bushmonkey. The first one was called What Happened to the Crew, and that was a love letter to Type Help. So the evolution of this thing starts with Type Help inspiring What Happened to the Crew, which somewhat evolved the formula, and then the one we're talking about today is some very good steps on graphical visualization, and we'll get into all of that as we go. So, how would you describe this game?
So this game came to me as a surprise. I kind of played it when I was supposed to be doing real work, and I ended up treating it like a murder mystery novel. Because there's a lot of reading involved in it, and it was filling in the timeline and more. There's just so many of these detective games with a supernatural aspect to them,
Yeah, there's quite a few.
like Ace Attorney. But I think what made this one also stand out for me was the attempt to place this in a historical context. Thought that was neat.
And quite a bit of research was done into that.
It felt right, question mark, for the most part historically, like at least the vibe of being on the verge of World War II.
Yeah, I mean, it is a piece of historical fiction, but it seems to be very well grounded with things that happened.
It doesn't shy away from things like the trigger warning at the beginning. It lets you choose between using some racist slurs that were commonplace at the time. Like, that's a choice.
Yep.
Glad you give a warning.
Yeah, that was good to have. And there's a really nice glossary system throughout.
Oh yeah. That was cool.
So when people use a specific term, you can check that out. And if you want to, you can open up not exactly a wiki, but a nice glossary to check out, okay, what was this term? You know, who are the Rajas? What was this city? What was important about the tobacco trade in 1941 or not important about it? And so you can do dives on those if you want to get sort of the full feeling and context. This game is split into 3 sections. There's sort of the primary section at the plantation, and that's all about deducing what happened at different points on the timeline. The mechanics are the attempt to do what Type Help did purely with text, but in a graphical visualization. And so what that is there is a timeline of events, and it starts at 3 in the afternoon, and all of the characters are present. And each hour is a new timestamp, and you need to try and figure out who was where at every hour. And you do that by placing the people in a given room at a timestamp. So you might say Jeremiah was in the study at 4 o'clock.
Very much Clue vibes.
Yeah. And when you do that, you get a full transcript of what occurred in that location at that time. So you get Jeremiah talking on the phone to someone. That dialogue will then give you information that will help you figure out who else is at a different point, or where everybody was at 3 o'clock, or where they're going to go. And by doing this, you can then unlock another scene, and eventually you're able to sort of fill out this entire timeline using your deductive skills.
I want to addendum that it felt like a baton system where like you have the first item and your mystical abilities of finding out what the heck happened in that room was based on who touched that thing, and then you get to see what's in the room. So they slowly doled out who all the names were and who all the players were until you got the whole picture. I thought that was neat.
Yeah, and the idea of using an item to give you a partial snapshot of the room is new. So the previous games have this set up, and most of the other ones still work on the format of you get no information until you have the entire. So if there's 4 people in a room at 10, you don't know anything about that until you know exactly which 4 people it was and can activate it. This game adds something new, where once you figure out who owns an item, you can trace the item into a time slot, and it will give you the dialogue of whichever character has possession of that item. And so like the great example is the phone. And we're using that one because it's part of the game's tutorial. So like you find out, yeah, Jeremiah owns the phone. It's in the study.
It's a spoiler for the first 30 seconds of the game.
Yeah. And then you can find out, okay, if any other characters use that phone during this timeline, you'll get their part of the conversation. And initially it starts out as like, oh, person one is using the phone, but it allows you to get a partial insight into a scene. And that can then help you to figure out either the full scene itself or eliminate people. Like sometimes you can figure out based on a conversation, oh yeah, somebody isn't in this scene. I know maybe the three people who are, or I think they're somewhere else. And so everything has a solve path in here. There's no need to guess at any point. But you can make educated guesses. Sometimes it'll be like, oh, these two characters aren't present at this time slot. They're probably off together somewhere. I'll bet they're at X location because that sounds like something they would do narratively. And sometimes you can just get that scene based on that type of intuition. I'm not sure if you ended up doing anything like that.
My first achievement that I think I got in the game was Moon Knight. Are you familiar with that reference?
No.
The achievement is called Moon Knight, and the subline is random BS Go. It is a
Yep.
reference to the Marvel character Moon Knight, and he's schizophrenic. I got it because I was spamming solutions. It's just like random bullshit go.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, I did that a lot in this game. I am not even gonna lie.
Yeah, so this game, it takes place in British colonial Borneo.
It's in the Pacific.
Yeah. It's currently in Malaysia today on the north side of the island because the south side of Borneo is in Indonesia. And it takes place December 19th, 1941, which for our history buffs there is 12 days after Pearl Harbor. And this is when the Japanese are expanding through the Pacific in what feels like an unstoppable wave. And they're about to do a lot of very surprising things. So, spoilers for history, they take the Gibraltar of the East in a very short period of time and shock most of the world.
A lot was going on back then during this time frame, yeah.
So the occupants of this plantation, they're aware of this impending danger, but they're also caught up in their other issues. They've got financial problems, local political problems,
Love affairs.
stuff like that they're thinking
Yeah.
about more. Affairs of the heart.
They're just people.
And then once you finish sort of the main plantation game, there's two follow-up stories that are kind of mostly narrative, but they give you some closure about what some characters got up to.
Oh, yeah.
And those were written after the core was made. And we'll get to those at that point. But that is one of the criticisms people sometimes have. And Bushmonkey himself has said, yeah, they're not as integrated in as he would have liked, just because the way they were written later, and I don't want to say tacked on, but like it wasn't a cohesive design from start to finish.
That explains some of the ending of the third part. That makes more sense.
And what's new in this game is really the whole graphical user interface. Both type help and what happened to the crew were completely terminal based. So you were typing in commands for everything. And all you got was a list of documents you had unlocked. And every scene you unlocked was a document. And de facto, you needed to make your own spreadsheet to figure things out. This game has a visual timeline for every person, every place, and every timestamp, as well as a massive global timeline where you can sort of try and see everything spread across all the time zones. And this was the first game to try and visualize that. So how did you end up feeling about the way this was visualized?
So let me lay out what we're looking at in the graphic interface, right? So bottom bar is the timeline of each individual hour. That was really useful to move from time slot to time slot. The left sidebar is the rooms. So with those two variables, I couldn't imagine playing this game by terminal because of that. Like it's difficult for me to visualize that because there's just so much to keep track of.
Yeah, and especially when we started experimenting with more options, started adding more twists, because the original type help was very straightforward, like one simple spreadsheet would cover all of your needs. But then as the games started evolving, that got harder and harder to make work.
Yeah. I'm looking at the game now. It's like an XY axis.
Yeah, and you can sort of do that, but then there's always something that isn't going to feel right.
Hmm.
Like if you put people on one axis, time on a second axis, and then just fill in the rooms where people are at. That's sort of like the simplest version, but it doesn't allow you to track a given room and see how it is looking at all time slots.
You're talking about the itch version?
I know, just like conceptually.
Oh,
But if you put the room as one of the axes, you have to
yes.
not have one of the other things, and that comes with its own problems. So
You don't need the people on the axis. You fill the people in the rooms. Like people have to be in a space. People are generally not in two places at once.
Right, but that also can help to put them on an axis because then you can see where they are. Like it makes it very easy to see, okay, I don't know where Jeremiah is at time slot 6, for example.
Yeah, yeah. I felt that the room and the time made it easy for me to figure out somebody's missing or who I had left.
Ah, okay. Because for me, I would just be looking at like the rooms, be like, oh, well, there's an empty slot in all of these different rooms at this time.
Because there are too many rooms for people. So a person in the story has to be somewhere, but a room doesn't have to have a person in it.
Yeah,
So, like Clue, to use that example again, is it anything like any other game we've played?
not really. This is the first game we've covered that has what I've started calling a comprehensive timeline,
Oh, yeah.
which is where everybody is somewhere unless the game explicitly states why they aren't. And there's a couple of games that have done this. Most of them have been inspired by Type Help one way or another. There's one game called The Wolf is Dead that's been in development for a while, like well before Type Help came out, that has the same underlying concepts. And it's not out yet. It's supposed to come out later this year. We'll see. And that's an interesting case of what would that be? Converging evolution? Converging development? Something like that.
Like twin movies.
Yeah. Two people independently coming up with the same idea.
Like White House Down and Olympus Has Fallen.
Mhm. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the items are new for this as well, giving you a partial glimpse of a scene.
So it didn't have the inventory system in the first game at all?
None of them.
Oh, wow.
Like the ability to track items is new. The ability to get that partial snapshot is new. And it allows you to get more variation with the puzzles that you're presenting the player, which I think is a good thing.
I'm kind of surprised because, like, again, the game starts with you following an object. And the game is called Red Pearls of Borneo. Even though I'm looking at the game now, when you open it, it says what happened in Borneo. So that's an interesting difference.
Yeah, and starting out that item is to sort of teach you that new system right off the bat,
Oh, okay. For the people who have played the first game or the original game.
or came to it from Type Help, or I guess now, in theory, Galley House.
I will start and finish it. I will.
No worries. So, do we recommend this game? Non-spoiler thoughts. And for me, I want to separate the core plantation experience versus the additional journeys thoughts.
I mean, you can't beat the price, my man.
Oh, yeah. So, for starters, the game is free on Steam. I really like this one both as an actual game, especially like the core experience part. The additional journeys, it's kind of nice to know what happened to the characters, but the actual gameplay aspects of those, that's kind of take it or leave it for me. But the core plantation, that's where the good stuff is. So I like that, both the gameplay, and I just really liked all of the different stuff that was tried for this game. Like the whole having a graphical user interface for the comprehensive timeline. Nobody's had done that before. And so I think that's a really important piece. How did you feel about it generally?
I like the game. I like the historic aspect of the glossary. Like, yeah, the game is a fictional story, but the references in the glossary were great. And it brings back a lot of history that most people don't know about or realize about. Like most people study World War II, it's the great battles. And usually most people start from when the United States starts the war, or very much focused on the Western Front or Europe's front. So the references to the beginnings, the game doesn't really pull punches when it comes to everyone's a jerk on a deal. There's the British colonialism, there's the opium trade, there's the Japanese conquering, there's the pirates. Like, it's refreshing, honestly refreshing.
Yeah. And it tries to mix all of those bits. And like in retrospect, it might be easy for us to say, oh, how could you have not seen this coming? But I think the game tries to properly orient you in the setting and show why people were absorbed enough in their own local affairs that the impending tide of World War II was not their biggest problem.
When you say didn't see it coming, you're talking about like the historical context of people not thinking World War II is coming.
Not that it's not coming, more that just it's not going to reach me here kind of thing.
I mean, that's just normal people. No one thinks they're going to be involved in it until they get involved in things.
Hmm. Like a few far-sighted people will figure that out, but yeah, pretty much everyone else.
It's just like Men in Black. Like, person is smart, people are dumb.
All right. Are you ready for the spoiler zone?
Oh, I've been biting my tongue just so we can get to that, so I can just start like letting it rip.
All righty. Then We are now going full spoiler. You have been warned. So, first thoughts.
So, first thought that, like, if I were we're just diving into spoilers, or do you want to start going through the story?
Oh, we're just going full.
Go to the story. Okay. So, like, once the invasion happens, it becomes like a page turner book where I'm like, okay, I need to figure this out. I need to figure this out. I guess when the first person dies, you're like, okay, here we go. Like, all the setup was fine, and I was pretty lackadaisical at trying to figure that out. But once the first murder happens, and then people start dying, I'm like racing trying to figure things out. It was very exciting to me.
I mean, that is kind of a, I don't want to say a standard setup for these games, but you usually have a little while of sort of
Yeah.
getting to meet the characters, figure out who they are, sort of fill out the full timeline before people start dying.
I think out of all the games we've done, this has the highest body count.
Yeah, I think so.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Nope, 9. So,
Yeah,
like,
so
yeah, like normally we deal with like one murder or like a sequence of cases. So, like, max 5 murders.
yeah, that also goes the territory on most of these games. Like the previous one, What Happened to the Crew? I want to say everybody dies by the end.
Oh, no, you're right.
And
Oberdin
then,
had a high body count. My fault.
oh, yep,
My fault. That was a TPK.
good point.
That was almost a TPK. There were survivors for that game. Spoilers for Oberdin.
Yeah, but not many. So actually, Red Pearls has one of the highest survivor ratios of this type of game so far.
Oh, yeah, it's true. Well, like, do you count the rescue soldiers as survivors?
I mean, in the context of this game, yeah.
They're one party, they're one blob.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking of like maybe of the original cast of the core plantation. Is like type help, everybody dies.
Spoilers.
I mean, it's pretty much like the opening of that is like, yeah, there was a house full of bodies you're investigating.
Oh, okay. It's like spoilers for like the first minute. All right.
Yeah, and kind of the same thing for What Happened to the Crew. It's like, yeah, we lost contact with the space station. Try and find out what happened to them.
Why
So,
is this airlock open? I've not played that game, so I'm just making that up.
well, it's going to get a Steam release at a later date. So we can do it then. Yeah. So this game, you've got this plantation. A guy shows up there. You eventually find out he's working for British intelligence, trying to figure out something about a Japanese bioweapon, maybe.
That's what they were hinting at, yeah.
Yeah. And then the owner of the plantation has mortgaged it to the hilt to the local pirates and or sort of local leaders. I forget what their name was, the Rajas or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's worried about financial stuff. The pirates show up to kind of extort money from him. There's his former wife hanging out still at the plantation, his new young pretty wife, and they're both unhappy for different reasons. And yeah, then the Japanese show up around midnight starting to invade. And that's when all hell really breaks loose. I definitely enjoy going through this game and seeing all of the insanity, sort of tracing all the paths.
Documents were extra flavor, were nice.
Oh yeah, so it's got those extra bits. Like you occasionally unlock documents you can check out. They may have names you need to pick up. You end up assigning names to portraits as you go, and that allows you to unlock the character to use in scenes. So the initial part of the game has a bit of a loop of, okay, learn some names, try to assign them pictures. All right, you unlocked a new person. Now you're able to use them in a scene, get more information. I'd say probably after the first quarter, though, you've assigned most of the people. 2 additional characters kind of drop in throughout the game, which is a bit of a twist on the formula, because previously it was everyone was present at the beginning until they die. This does have some characters that arrive and then leave, not through dying, I should specify, but it is a bit different than the previous iterations. It's very well like listed though, so you're aware of it and you're not surprised when the person exits the scene. And I do like that it sort of lets you know once they're gone so that your timeline still looks really clean.
It says deceased and grays out their picture. And they're dead.
Yeah, but man, how long did it take you to get the shaman?
I had to use hints for that one. I had to spam that hint button now at some point to try to figure it out. I was like, something doesn't feel right. Something was missing. And then when you do have shaman and something at the beginning of the timeline wasn't filled in, I'm like, I have everybody.
Yeah, it's Vitalina at the chapel. Yeah, and getting the key can be a little bit difficult. I forget what it was to unlock that. That seems to be the thing that most people end up missing is they're unable to find the key. Therefore, they can't use the key to discover the shaman.
Oh, the key to the passageway?
Yeah.
Got it.
So that seems to have been a big hang up that I've just seen from people existing online.
One thing about doing this podcast, it has got me over the old school mentality of touching the hint button is failure. I'm just like, yo, if I need that hint, I'm gonna hit that button, man.
Yeah, and it's very cool to see which types of hints people are using. I was just playing through the mermaid mask, and yeah, I used the hint button there. And it was nice because they had a very subtle version, the hint levels of vague to specific.
That's always the best way to do it. Like, you sure you want this?
Mhm. And yeah, there was never a point where it was too bad. And this one, like, I don't have a good perception of the difficulty anymore because,
Because you knew the first game?
yeah, I played What Happened to the Crew and then played that one really early because it got recommended on the detective discords. And so I was there for the development of that. And then when he made the new game, I was one of the first people playing it. And so probably one of the earlier testers. And so my perception of it is very warped by sort of seeing it throughout development and also through various iterations. So like I no longer remember which parts were hard because the things that were hard may have been changed. Sometimes they were, sometimes they weren't.
And you probably weren't taking notes at that time.
Not good notes,
Yeah.
especially because it's a little bit hard. Like, do I take notes on what was hard for what was very much in development at that point and was then changed? Like, I remember I got really hung up on figuring out Rose and her portrait. Just my brain couldn't figure that one out early on. That turned out to be on me. For some reason, I assumed that the owner of the portrait was the same person as was in the portrait. And so, yeah, that locked me for a while. Like, in retrospect, oh, yeah, that's obvious. This is perfectly fine. I didn't read the exact details on it. But I remember getting really locked up there. And that was before there was a good hint system. Then the hint system was going to Bushmonkey and asking what I'm missing. I feel like the character most sad for was poor Jiro.
That's the one you have the most?
Yep. I feel like he was killed for no reason.
Was probably the most saddest one. Let me double check how Jiro died. He got shot in the face, right?
Yeah, Dieter killed him.
Yeah. But he was in a weird love triangle or something, right?
Kinda, yeah.
So like that's normal for these kind of stories.
Yeah, but like Jiro wasn't aware of that love triangle to the best of my knowledge. So he was kind of innocent on that front.
If I'm gonna give somebody grace, I'm gonna give it to Connie. He died in the defense of others. It's always gonna be something I'm gonna be like, yeah, if you gotta go, that's where you're gonna go.
And at least he was trying to do the right thing most of the time.
So many people got shot in the face
Yep. I mean, that happens when you get a plantation full of guns and then a literal military invasion.
in a war zone.
What building was on fire? Was it the chapel?
The clubhouse. And the clubhouse eventually blows up, kind of.
Yeah,
Maybe twice.
that was cool.
Yeah, the still detonation early on was very amusing because I thought that was like a bomb or something until I eventually worked my way around and figured out, no, that was some stoned boys with a still.
This one does back then. How did Petrovsky die?
She was in or near the clubhouse when it exploded.
Blew up, yeah.
And then Bone died fighting his way over there.
I mean, yeah, that's the beginning of World War II on that front.
Mm-hmm.
None of this is really surprising endings for this kind of a story. But the supernatural part and then the next phase of the game. So you said that this was the original part, but the other two timelines were added later.
Yeah, I mean, they were added after a little bit later, not a huge amount of time. So the first one was Lucas and Rose and,
The journey?
yeah, their journey. And that was sort of like Bushmonkey was like the characters and wanted to give them an ending or let you know what happened afterward. So they get the proper epilogue that stretches all the way back to London, where you get to make your little choice at the end. Which decision did you take?
I wanted all the achievements, so I ended up doing both. I defaulted on telling the truth and then being sad that that was such a depressing ending. Like, I was like, maybe it's time to lie.
I tried lying the first time.
You went the opposite way. Why did you choose to lie about the guy's fate?
Because normally I would always pick the truth, but at this point I was like, they seem like they're happy here. Maybe I'll try not breaking up that even though it's built on a lie. So I wanted to try that option.
Yeah. So we have both baseline defaults. You just wanted people to be happy. Yeah. I mean, that's why I felt bad about that ending.
Oh yeah, I felt bad about it as soon as I did it.
About lying?
Yeah.
I felt bad for telling the truth.
I mean, there was no right answer. Like, you're going to feel bad either way.
There's no good answer for us. What about them? I mean, the fictional characters.
I mean, you're sort of taking the choice of do you make 3 people unhappy by telling the truth, or do you make 1 person unhappy by lying and never reconnecting the brother with the family?
Isn't her brother a secret agent, though?
Yes. Forget what he was doing. So I'm getting mixed up with some other stuff.
Doesn't she end up being the lover of Cynthia? I'll double check that. That's massive spoilers by this point.
I think that was a different name. Because, yeah, Cynthia's fiance, at least,
Yeah.
had a different name.
Are you sure?
Yeah, my brain is failing, but it was the handler. No.
Isn't the handler like a Goodwill?
Yeah, the other story is following the cleanup at the plantation when some British soldiers arrive. Cynthia, who turns out to have been an agent with MI5 as well, and then her journey to go to a specific town to make a report.
You gotta check in at the closest allied commander. Maybe it wasn't allied yet, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, you follow her and some of the soldiers. And again, it's got a pretty simplistic gameplay. It's mostly about the story of their wrap up. And I didn't end up even playing that one. Like, I tested the journey with Lucas and the ladies. I did not test Cynthia's journey. So that was completely new for me on this build.
This is the one where you learn all the soldiers' names.
Yeah. So I didn't expect that part.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was a nice narrative wrap up. I can see why some people want more of the gameplay elements from the core section. And it's not that, but that's fine. You're just there for the ride. Do you have any other spoilery thoughts on this one?
I want to encourage people to actually look at the glossary while you play this game. Like, there are fun little history things in it. As we're recording, as I'm looking at notes and everything, I'm tickled about the entry for jargon. Like, when they're describing old-timey 1941 British slang, like, I shall be quite all right. I shall pull through. I have a sturdy constitution. Like, some of the stuff I still say to this day, like, it's like, I'll be right as rain. I've said that before, but just tickled about some of this stuff. And just some of the history, as I said about it earlier, they're like Wikipedia entries, but they're pertinent to give you a feel of the time and place in case like you didn't grow up learning some of this stuff. But the jargon's fun.
Yeah, I got to learn some new stuff, especially a lot about the local politics of Malaysia at the time. Especially, I kind of always assumed that the British colonial administration was an overwhelming monolith, and I forget that that's not how any of that usually worked. And that instead of some big overwhelming monolith, it's a patchwork of local groups being played off against each other, generally for the benefit of the British, but not always, depending on stuff. And yeah, this game really illustrated that well, where you've got this British plantation owner who's out of luck and stuck between local powers now. And the titular Red Pearls show up. Yeah, overall, I enjoyed that. I think, are we ready to transition out of the spoiler zone?
Yes.
Yeah, overall thoughts, I really enjoy this game. Also, this is the second game that Bushmonkey has made. He's currently developing the third game. It is called Green Mist over Portland. And for reference, this is Portland, England, not Portland, Maine, or Oregon.
That makes more sense because when I read the synopsis, it was you're continuing the stories of characters from this game. And I was like, huh. So now they're crunchy hippies in Oregon. Got it.
I know.
Nope, I was wrong.
The OG Portland. And so there's a demo out for that now. And then the full game hopefully is coming out towards the end of this year. That one will be on Steam. It won't be free, which is, reasonable given that Bushmonkey's already given us 2 free games of pretty extensive length.
I look forward to playing this one.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to do some more sort of innovation with the timeline stuff. I haven't gotten deep into the details, but I'm also very much looking forward to that. So that's our thoughts on Red Pearls. What else have you been playing lately?
We've been recording pretty regularly now. I need to get back in the swing of games. Still playing Helldivers, but plugging away at Phoenix Wright, the next one that we are doing, which was
Trials and Tribulations.
Trials and Tribulations. I was worried that I was going to say it wrong. So we're getting Trials and Tribulations. Incident at Gallery House. I want to carve out a solid day to play it. I have the nagging feeling that once I start that one, I'm not going to stop. And I don't want to make the same mistake as I did with The Root Trees Are Dead by starting at 11 p.m. and being like, oh, snap, it's 4 a.m. I have work. Oh, no.
Yeah, I'd say you want to budget about 8 hours for it.
Yeah, that's a whole work day.
So maybe a weekend if you have one of those.
And when I go on my trip, maybe I'll play it while in between sessions. I also have a drone controller. I've been learning how to do that in the simulator. It's really hard.
So I just played through The Mermaid Mask, which is the 3rd of the Detective Grimoire series.
That's out?
It just came out Thursday. So at time of recording, it was 4 days ago.
Oh.
So when I say just came out, I really mean just came out.
Yeah, we got different kind of jobs. That's why you could get to time to play it.
Well, I'm also on summer vacation right now. So that helps me a lot with the having time to play games.
Oh, I'm looking at the mermaid mask now.
Yeah, the big one I've been playing. I would say it's a refined version of Tangle Tower.
I see it. They kept Sally's same design this time. It was very jarring to see her different from the first game and the second game.
Like the formula for Tangle Tower works pretty well. So they just made some small revisions, some general improvements, and I think a better ending. But yeah, we'll get to covering that one.
Oh, did you end up getting Clue?
Yes, I picked it up.
We should play and see who murders who.
Heck yeah.
We need more people, though. Maybe we'll do that. If there's interest, maybe we'll do a recording of us playing Clue against each other with more people, of course.
That could be a lot of fun. Yeah, so we've been up to between recordings.
Yep. And for me, it's also surviving World Cup in this area. It's been wild. I'm glad it's over.
Take a deep breath. Yeah. You can find us on Blue Sky at Flatfoots and Fools, one word. You can join our Discord to talk about any detective games. I've got a link down in the show notes. The podcast is edited by Peter Crevier. Podcast art by Lolita Gross. And music is by Antonic Music. Don't get invaded, everyone.